Tonight, 63 additional charges laid against a former St. John's teacher. Marcus Hicks now faces more charges related to sexual violence, bringing the total to more than 200.
Here at the National War Memorial, these 100-year-old bronze sculptures are being restored to their original elegance. And this artist says he's humbled to be part of this centennial project.
This is a historic event for Newfoundland. It's only going to happen once, and to be this fortunate to witness this is an incredible honor.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
We will see the school opening in September 2026.
The provincial government says there will be a new school here in just over 2 years, but court documents show a complicated legal battle for the land.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis, filling in for Carolyn Stokes. Our top story now, Marcus Hicks, a former teacher and volleyball coach, is facing 63 new charges for sexual violence. They include sexual assault and child pornography. Hicks appeared virtually in a St. John's courtroom today. That's where he faced the new charges after 11 new complainants came forward. Some of those complainants were as young as 12 when the time of the offenses happened. Hicks is now facing over 200 sexual violence charges in total against 35 people. Police say the 32-year-old used fake identities online to lure youth and adults into sex acts. At this point, a spokesperson for the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary can't speculate if there will be any more charges as the investigation into Hicks continues.
We are still open to persons who want to come forward, anybody who wants to share their experience. But again, it's about a victim-centered approach. We only want persons coming forward who feel safe and want to share their experience. So with regards to, is this the end? I wouldn't want to speculate. But again, I'll say that this investigation remains open.
And police say a woman in St. John's was shot last night. The RNC say she was found around 10 p.m. near the Health Sciences Centre. The RNC took the woman to hospital where she remains in stable condition. Police believe the shooting happened near Empire Avenue West and Jensen Camp Road. Major Crime is investigating, and they're asking for surveillance video people may have from that area or from the Health Sciences Centre between 9 and 10:30 last night. And police arrested a 46-year-old man after this crash. The RNC says they were called to Pennywell Road and Franklin Avenue in St. John's around 10:15 this morning. The white Honda that you see here struck a parked vehicle and then hit a pole, according to police, just missing a house. The driver ran, but a nearby canine team found the driver with visible injuries and then arrested him. He's charged with hit and run, driving without a license or insurance, driving while prohibited, and a breach of probation. In other news, court documents obtained by CBC show a complex court battle is underway involving a planned new school in St. John's. The provincial government says the school is supposed to open in the Kenmount Terrace neighborhood in September 2026. But records reveal there's a dispute over the land the school is set to be built on. Here and Now's Daryl Roberts has that story.
If you take a trip down Lady Smith Drive, you'll see this sign. Last September, Premier Andrew Furey announced $50 million for a new school. It will have classes from kindergarten to grade 7. But in February, a company called Carwood Contracting filed a statement of claim in Supreme Court, claiming the province broke its promise to buy the land last fall. The company declined requests for an interview. But according to the lawsuit, Carwood Contracting had an agreement with a land developer, Patrick Street Holdings, to buy lots and build homes. Carwood says the province reached out to them last September, just 2 days before that press conference with the Premier, informing the company that it wanted to build a school on the site. According to the statement of claim, the company began negotiating with the province, but weren't able to agree on a price for the land, and the sale never happened. Now, Carwood Contracting is suing the developer and the provincial government. CBC News asked the lawyer for the developer, Patrick Street Holdings, for comment, but hasn't received a response. But they did file a counterclaim, saying that Carwood Contracting wasn't keeping up its side of the bargain, and it terminated its contract with Carwood. Despite all of this, according to the government, plans are full steam ahead.
We will have a tender out for a request for proposal, more correctly, early fall. To get the building, and it'll be a design build. So the proponent will be both finalize design. We'll have some obviously preliminary work done. They will finalize design as well as put in a tender to construct. And with that in place, we will see the school opening in September 2026.
The provincial government is expropriating some of the land for the project, normal practice for government projects.
The government has the underlying right to take any land in the province for a public purpose that they deem necessary for that public purpose. So fire halls, schools, hospitals, if there's land that they believe is necessary for a valid public purpose, then they have the legislative right to reassert Crown control and do that.
During expropriation, the government negotiates to buy the land. If negotiations don't work out, it's up to the Public Utilities Board to settle on a price. According to lawyer Raymond Critch, the legal battle probably won't delay things.
I mean, the reality is anything can happen if there's political will and enough money to make it happen. It's just a question of how much they are willing to push or need to push.
In a statement, a department spokesperson said the expropriation is not related to the court action. The statement didn't directly address the allegations that the province broke its agreement to buy the land from Carwood Contracting, but reiterated government's plan to open the school in fall of 2026. Daryl Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
More details on overhauling the province's air ambulance system will likely take months. This after a request for proposals expired in April. Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services says they're evaluating 2 submissions, and that a successful proponent will be announced later this summer. The RFP says services will be based in St. John's rather than Gander. That's due to the availability of staff, a decision that's caused concern for some in central Newfoundland. In other news, forestry officials are continuing to work on wildfires burning in Labrador West. One is in a remote area near Milner Lake West, about 5,900 hectares in size. The other is near the Menahek Dam, and that one is 950 hectares, and it's hampering rail traffic into Schefferville, Quebec. Water bombers and helicopters are being used today. Residents of Lab West are being asked not to have open fires while the wildfire index is still high.
And just taking a look at some of the current data, there's actually 5 fires burning right now in Labrador. This is a view of the Dooley Lake fire that you can see burning there in Lab West. Keith Fitzpatrick grabbed that shot for us. And if we take a look at the satellite today, we can see there's a couple of fires. Well, we can visibly see the fires burning as well. Some of these fires are more than likely sparked by lightning, as thunderstorms were numerous across the province or across the big land today. So definitely going to have to keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. Fire still very much very high or high in parts of Labrador. Tomorrow we are expecting some rain to move through, which will help, but it's also going to be accompanied by some thunderstorms. So we could be in the same situation yet again tomorrow. There's the risk of some thunderstorms. That will happen tomorrow afternoon and head towards northern Labrador as we get through to the evening. I'll get into the full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. The 5 bronze sculptures at the National War Memorial in St. John's have been a prominent fixture in the downtown for more than 100 years. Now they're being restored to their original elegance. It's a part of a major refurbishment as the province prepares for Memorial Day on July 1st. Here Now's Terry Roberts reports.
There are more than 30 workers buzzing around the grounds today at the Newfoundland National War Memorial, and they're on a mission to complete an expensive refurbishment of this sacred ground, an area that's been a focal point of remembrance in St. John's for 100 years. This is the type of work you see at the end of a project like this. Fresh sods, new plants, fencing, lighting, sidewalks, and there's this new addition, a remembrance wall built from black granite, spotlighting the various units and organizations with links to this province's long military history. The centerpiece of the memorial is this monument, 5 bronze statues seated on a granite platform, representing Newfoundland's involvement in the First World War. A famous British general, Douglas Haig, unveiled this monument on July 1st, 1924. Thousands of people, including many veterans, witnessed this historic moment. But a century of exposure to the elements have left the statues looking like this. So this well-known artist is breathing fresh life into the monument, using a torch to heat up the bronze, and then applying a fresh patina.
I'm applying a chemical treatment to antique this to bring it back to its original color, and then I'm doing a protective coating on this to preserve that patina.
The result, the faded green appearance, is replaced by a darker, solid color, illustrated here by the statue representing the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. It's just the way the statues looked when they were unveiled a century ago. It's a labor of love for this artist, and it's personal. Morgan MacDonald's great-grandfather was Joe Babstock, a veteran of the First World War who survived several battles and German captivity.
This is a historic event for Newfoundland. It's only going to happen once, and to be this fortunate to witness this is an incredible honor.
The biggest challenge is the weather and ensuring the original artistry remains intact. MacDonald is in awe of the 2 English sculptors who created these statues, Ferdinand Victor Blunstone and Gilbert Bays.
It's from an era bygone. This is it's a quality of workmanship that you don't see anymore. These sculptors were these were well accomplished sculptors, trained at the National Academy. These were experts in their craft.
And from this unique vantage point, MacDonald can see details that casual observers might not notice.
There's a regimental badge on the back of the shoulder. It's a circular badge that on the uniform, this would have been white and claret, which is the color of the regiment. So these are things that you don't necessarily see from the ground level, and there's just some interesting details like the collar dogs, and the epaulets and the Newfoundland, 1st Newfoundland Forestry Corps. They've got the badges for the Forestry Corps. So these little interesting details that the sculptor took time to cast into these statues.
All this construction will end soon, and on July 1st, thousands of people will gather here for Memorial Day ceremonies. On that day, the remains of an unknown Royal Newfoundland Regiment soldier who died in France during the First World War will be interred inside this new burial chamber at the base of the monument. The lid will be decorated with a bouquet of bronze forget-me-nots, crafted by Morgan MacDonald. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
And the province will get a visit from royalty on Memorial Day. The Princess Royal, Princess Anne, will be here for the centennial of the National War Memorial and the entombment of the unknown soldier. The Princess is the Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, and she's also the president of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. That's the organization that's responsible for almost 2 million soldiers' graves around the world, and that includes the unknown soldier's grave. It will be the Princess Royal's first visit to the province since 2016. In other news, a charity that offers free mental health services to families got a $500,000 boost today. The Strongest Families Institute got that money from the provincial government. Health Minister Tom Osborne made the announcement in St. John's this morning. A woman who used the Institute's services says the organization means a lot to her family, especially since her daughter was diagnosed with autism and developmental delays.
Best program I could have ever done. It saved my mental health. It saved our family's mental health. Now Lacey, as you can see, can make it about 10-15 minutes before she gets a little frustrated. When we first started the program, she couldn't even walk into the school. Wouldn't walk in. It was too overwhelming, too much anxiety. When we were done the program, she made it right at the end. She made it through her 1 full day of school, and it was the best thing.
Although we help more than 10,000 people a year we're a charity, and that's what we're here to do. And I don't know if you saw, but you can tell that's why we do what we do. If we can make an impact on even one life and be life-changing for them, we've done our job, and it's just so heartwarming to me. That's why we do what we do. We just want to help more and more people.
Well, we've got an area of low pressure offshore. We're now still bringing some showers to parts of the province, some thunderstorms happening up across Labrador as well. We'll get into all the forecast details coming up in a few minutes. Well, the weather certainly wasn't a challenge today. People of all ages got outside to take advantage of the sunny, albeit windy weather today at Bannerman Park in St. John's.
And as we can see from that video there, looks like it was a gorgeous day. We're getting into a time where the weather is starting to warm up a little bit. We're seeing more sun. Ash, is this going to continue?
Well, it looks pretty nice for the forecast for the next couple of days in and around for most of us. The heat certainly there as well. Let's take a look at where we sat Today in St. John's, 19 degrees. So beautiful afternoon. Temperatures reaching 20 in Terra Nova, Gander, Badger, and really the mid to upper teens for most of the island, with the exception of the south coast. So Cape Race topped off at about 11 degrees Celsius. Some heat up across Labrador as well. Temperatures in the 20s, even extending to the coast. Cooler though for the northern peninsula, southeastern portions of Labrador, and that is because you are in onshore flow. And that will generally continue over the next little bit. You can see those winds there easterly at the moment, and we're seeing that southerly wind as well. And that's leading to the potential for some drizzle and some fog, especially as we head through the overnight tonight, but currently sitting at about 9 degrees in Cape Race. Still a beautiful evening out there for most as far as the temperatures are concerned. So just take a look at the satellite today up across Labrador. Lots of thunderstorms popping up today. And like I showed you earlier, potentially sparking anyway, some of the new fires today. Really anywhere where you see the popcorn looking cloud cover is where we saw those thunderstorms this afternoon. And the risk of thunderstorms will continue through the day tomorrow as well. Now, as far as the island is concerned, some pop-up showers or moving in for the central area of the island. And doesn't look like anything is we're not seeing any lightning from this tonight, but we do have some showers up around the Bayburt Peninsula and the Northern Peninsula as well. The other thing, it was pretty windy today, topped out at 72 kilometers per hour in St. John's, 65 in Gander, and the winds now have dropped off a lot, only at about 46 kilometers per hour in St. John's, still gusting around 52 kilometers in Twillingate. But over the next couple of hours, we will continue to see those winds ease, and even more so as we head through tomorrow. So that area of low pressure offshore, or where it's moving offshore, it should pull those showers right along with it, but we're still in onshore flow along that south coast. So the fog will move further inland overnight tonight, especially along the south coast with some drizzle. Showers still possible up across Labrador. And again, going to keep an eye on the morning hours for Lab West. Temperatures tonight will sit around 13 degrees tonight. For those of you in Lab West towards the coast, though, you're looking at temperatures between 2 and 6 degrees. And the island, pretty mild night tonight, anywhere from 10 to 14 degrees. A little cooler for Port aux Basques, sitting around 9 degrees. But again, that fog and drizzle will be the story for you tonight. St. Anthony, you will hover around 10 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, the first part of the day, the fog and drizzle will continue along the south coast, but it should turn into a beautiful afternoon with some sunshine through the day. Again, that risk of thunderstorms in Lab West along a cold front that will head towards central Labrador and eventually the north coast as the afternoon rolls through. This will likely be the best chance of some thunderstorms. And across the island, not a whole lot happening tomorrow, but as we head into the evening hours, we will see the fog move in, the potential for some showers in onshore flow, or drizzle in onshore flow, and some showers for the west coast as well. And that will continue into at least the first half of Saturday. Temperatures tomorrow should be in the low to mid 20s for most. Again, southwesterly winds, 20 gusting upwards of 40 kilometers per hour, particularly on the west coast. Temperatures along the south will sit between 11 to 13 degrees through the day. And up across Labrador, again, another warm day. Once that cold front moves through, though, your daytime high only about 18 degrees in Lab City, and that will drop as the day goes on as this cold front moves through. But still hanging on to some hot weather. Happy Valley Goose Bay, 27 degrees tomorrow. Temperatures near the teens or even 20s. Very different story in Mary's Harbor tomorrow, where you will hover around 25 degrees. So that's your forecast. We'll look ahead to the weekend when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Bullying is something we've heard about for years, decades even, but what happens when those kids grow up and leave school? A lot of times, the effects of bullying stick around long after class is dismissed. And with school soon ending for the summer, one woman who was bullied says it's still taking a toll on her a decade later. The CBC's Sarah Antle has more.
I still have nightmares about high school, honestly, about being bullied, and the people that used to bully me, they haunt me.
Kelsey Clark is 28 years old. She's married, she has a job, and she has friends. But what she went through as a teen has never gone away.
I've been diagnosed with a lot of different things, a lot of different struggles. I've done some therapy programs, and a lot of it does circle back to the bullying and the way I was treated growing up. Like, those are your cognitive years. Like, your brain is developing and you're being told you're fat, you're ugly, you're a terrible person, and it just stays there. And sometimes I still have those feelings. Am I that person that they claim I am?
Clark says she started out like any other little kid. She loved reading and coloring and playing with her friends. But all that changed when she started school, and the bullying started almost right away. And as she got older, it just got worse.
Grades 6 and 7, like junior high, people would make fun of me for crying, for being an anxious person. And it was really hard, and it got even worse as I went to high school. High school, I would say, was the hardest time of my life. It wasn't, I know people say high school is the best years of your life, but I would beg to differ.
Did this only happen to you in school, or did it happen outside as well?
It was a lot of social media. So social media really took off when I was in grade 10. That was in 2010, 2011. It's like I could never get away from it anymore. It was always happening. There was always someone with some opinion about me. There was always that instance of, oh, if I log in today, what am I gonna see? It really took a toll on my mom. My mom was heartbroken because, like, no one wants to see their children go through what I went through.
Clark's mom, Paula, says Kelsey's bullying was one of the worst times of her life, too.
There was days I'd come home from work and I was afraid to go up to her bedroom because I really thought one day she may commit suicide. Because one day she said to me, "Mom, I must be this bad, nobody wants anything to do with me." And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God.
Research shows that kids today experience bullying differently.
It's not just at school. Like, there was a time where potentially these bullies that existed in your life may have only existed in your life, Monday to Friday between 9 and 3 p.m., right? That is no longer the case. The access is really increased, so it's relentless. It can be really relentless for young people. That kind of harassment can go on all night, all year, all day, in your home, in your safe place. So it's, it really can have a much larger impact these days.
Anti-bullying campaigns have raised awareness of the issue and changed the way we talk about bullying in schools. But Clark says that hasn't stopped bullying from happening, not by a long shot.
My cousin's young girl, she's 14 now. She's being homeschooled because of the level of bullying she was receiving in school. She was having things tossed at her, people were making fun of her. She came back from lunch and they had poured her slushie all over her desk, and she hated going to school. She'd wake up and cry. And that's the same thing that happened to me.
And what do you say to your cousin's daughter who's experiencing a similar thing that you experienced?
I try and tell her that sometimes people are mean. We have to try and keep our heads up. We have to realize we're not who they say we are. I wish that I could tell her, like, it gets better, but sometimes you don't know. And in my opinion, bullying is something we need to face head on. It's something we really need to crack down on. It's ruining lives. It's taking lives.
Sarah Antle, CBC News, St. John's.
Do not suffer in silence, because it never goes anywhere good.
St. John's woman plans on hiking the entire East Coast Trail this summer to raise money and awareness about mental health. That story next.
A young woman from St. John's plans to hike the entire 336 kilometers of the East Coast Trail this summer to raise money and awareness for mental health. 20-year-old Neve Sullivan has endured a lifelong struggle with her own mental health that almost cost her her life. She hopes organizing the walk and talking about her own struggles might inspire other young people to speak up and not to suffer in silence. A viewer warning, my interview with Sullivan does talk about suicide.
Hiking is something that is it's always been a source of just getting away from the real world. And over the winter, my mental health got pretty bad. It got so bad that March, I attempted to end my life, and I broke my spine and my ankle in that process. And I want to do this to raise funds for CAMH because mental health is something, it's so essential, but it's so underfunded, and people are on wait lists for years, and people die waiting to get help. And it's really unfortunate, and I don't want anybody to have to ever do what I did.
Sorry to hear that you went through that. How difficult has life been since March for you?
Initially, it was really difficult because obviously I was pretty much bedbound. I couldn't walk or get up and really do much. But it started to get better, and I started getting out of the house for short walks. And eventually, I was able to start hiking again. I was able to start rock climbing again. And I joined a run club, Mile 1 Run Club down in Kitty on Saturdays. So I started running with them, and that's been great. I only started a month ago, but I plan on running the telly, and I signed myself up for the Royal Victoria Marathon in BC in October, so I'm also getting ready for that.
So when did you decide between March and now that you wanted to hike the entire East Coast Trail to raise money for the Canadian Mental Health Association?
It's always been something that's in the back of my head, it would be really cool to do. I thought about it last summer, but I never thought that I would actually be able to do it, but I also had no experience overnight backpacking. But as I have gained more experience, I think that it is doable for me, and it's also, if I'm raising money for something that I'm passionate about, it's double win.
I came across your social media, your Instagram account, basically by accident, and I was very surprised, like I said, how open you were about with the struggles that you just talked about. Why was it important, and to not only to speak out on social media, but then to speak to the mainstream media like me? Why was it important for you to do that, Neve?
I think it's really important to be open about these conversations because mental health is it's so stigmatized, and people are afraid to talk about it out of fear of judgment or losing family and friends. And I think to hear other people be so open about their stories, it encourages other people to start talking about it. And a lot of the times people don't talk about it, and it ends badly, but nobody knew, and then because they were afraid to speak on it.
And what about your own experiences? Obviously, you've been dealing with this for a while, I'm guessing. And what has the experience of your family and friends been like with your own personal struggles?
I've been struggling with my mental health since as long as I can remember. And it has absolutely been really hard on my mom, especially. And all my friends and family, it's hard. I can only imagine what it's like to watch someone you love go through that and feel so miserable that they thought that was the only answer. But they've also been nothing but supportive, and I don't think I would be able to do this without them. I've got nothing but positivity from them. There's nothing they've been amazing.
Obviously, a lot of prep and planning goes into doing something like this. Has that made, day-to-day life, is that an added stress, or is this sort of something that you're looking forward to? Because this is a big endeavor you're taking. Is that an added stress in your life, or this is something like, no, I'm hell-bent on getting this done and raising money for a good cause?
I'm definitely absolutely ready to start this in the middle of August. I spend a lot of time looking at maps and looking at other people's spreadsheets and experiences and where are the best campsites, where are the water sources, and I enjoy the planning piece of it all, and mostly shopping for gear, but I enjoy it for the most part.
So again, we talked about it was 334 kilometers? 336 kilometers. You're going to start in mid-August. When are you going to start, and when do you hope to have this finished by?
I plan to start on August 14th, so I think that's a Tuesday. And my estimate is 15 or 16 days, so that would be August 29th, August 30th. Should be finished, hopefully.
Let's just say somebody sees this, somebody reads about it, somebody hears this. How can they donate money to help you out in the cause?
Right now I have the link on my social media. I'm mostly on Instagram, but it's at Neves on an Adventure, and the link is in my bio there.
Let's just say that there's another young person like yourself who may be struggling with something that you've probably went through. What sort of advice or tips could you offer somebody who might have been in your shoes back in March?
Please don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid of judgment. There's always help. Even if you're not seeing like a private therapist, there's always there's free services. But do not suffer in silence, because it never goes anywhere good to stay quiet.
If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available at these sources on your screen.
Welcome back to Here and Now. CBC Radio's The Signal took the show on the road today, stopping by Rennie's River School in St. John's to chat about the work the School Lunch Association does. One of Adam Walsh's guests today was Janet Knox, an employee with the group for 30 years who started in the kitchen and is now an administrator.
And there's nothing better when you see a child actually like eating that food and enjoying it so much. And one that sticks out in my head is this little girl at a particular school. She loves celery. Now, what kid usually likes celery? Like, not a lot, right? But she absolutely loved, and I could see the look on her face, and we had cheese sauce that she would dip it in. And just see the look on her face, how much she loved it. So anytime there was extras, you could well rest assured she was getting the extra. Because I'm saying, I'm so proud of her for loving that in the first place. Well, just to go to show, like, the need was back there then. Yes. Right? And it's after growing so much since I started. And also, like, our food choices now, as we're getting bigger, our food choices are becoming more healthier. Yes, of course, when I started out, you had your nuggets, you had your hot dogs, you had your fries, pogo sticks, we definitely had, pogo sticks, we had it all, right? Yeah. Sweets every day, all homemade goods, because back then it was cheaper to make a cookie at 5 cents a serving than it was to have fresh fruit. So it's after a change, and like so many changes over the years, I can't even get into it all because I'll be here half the afternoon. If I had to tell you my life story with the school lunch, how I started out, where I started out as a food service worker to so many different roles to the role that I'm at now. But I think the most rewarding to me was when I would be in a school and I would cook for a child and, we'd be cleaning up after, and they'd walk by and say, "Miss, thanks for the meal. It was delicious." And it was so heartfelt that they were so appreciative of what they had. And just knowing that they appreciated so much made your job so much better. And to me, it was never a job, it was enjoyment. Yeah. I enjoyed every single minute of it. It was hard to put into words. Right? It wasn't ever work to me. It was always fun, and just knowing my purpose every day of feeding those children. It was absolute fun.
A new national process could provide some vital information for those on the front lines dealing with homelessness. It offers a standardized way to track deaths among people who are living on the streets. Now, this data is not collected in most jurisdictions in Canada, including right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. The CBC's Carissa Donkin has the story.
They were someone's mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. It's hard to see them looking at us as nothing.
Sabrina Robichaud rides her bike to a mural in downtown Moncton every day. She made the mural to remember people who've died on the streets, many of whom were her friends. Robichaud doesn't have a home herself, but she still finds a way to record the names and track down photos from when they were alive. She keeps a list of everyone who's died on the streets over the last few years and says that list now includes more than 200 names of Moncton's precariously housed.
So we don't actually know exactly how many people have died while experiencing homelessness here in New Brunswick. The province just doesn't track that information, and most Canadian jurisdictions actually don't, with a couple of exceptions. But that could soon change. And that's because the Public Health Agency of Canada and Statistics Canada have come up with a new method of tracking residence type when someone dies. And coroners and medical examiners across the country could start tracking this information as soon as this summer, which is welcome news to Naomi Nichols, a researcher who's been trying to track this information in Peterborough, Ontario.
Having a better sense of the actual numbers of people who are losing their lives while they're homeless, even if homelessness is not the direct cause, but it has exacerbated their underlying health conditions, for example, I think is really important in terms of an evidence-led advocacy strategy.
Back at the mural in downtown Moncton, Robichaud says she sees struggle, love, and caring when she looks at the faces of the friends who she's lost.
I wish half of them knew how much they were loved and cared and how much they meant to people. So a lot of us, we don't think we matter to a lot of people because most of our families and stuff push us away because of our addictions or our mental health or our struggles.
Carissa Donkin, CBC News, Moncton.
Just days after reaching a tentative deal with Canada's border workers, Ottawa today announced it is expanding early pension eligibility to federal frontline workers. Here's Treasury Board President Anita Anand.
In the fall of 2024, we will introduce legislative changes to expand the eligibility for early pensions, specifically to frontline employees in the following groups: firefighters, paramedics, correctional service employees, border services officers, parliamentary protection officers, and search and rescue technicians.
To the U.S. now, where millions of residents in southern Florida are under a flood watch after days of torrential rain. And it's not over yet, with more intense thunderstorms expected over the next 24 hours. A state of emergency has been declared in several places along the Gulf and Atlantic coasts, including Sarasota, Fort Myers, and the Miami area. Flash flooding has turned roads into rivers, stranding motorists, swamping homes, and shutting down schools. Hundreds of flights have been delayed or canceled. More than a month's worth of rain fell in one day in some places. Local officials are warning residents to stay home to avoid being swept away by those floodwaters. The U.S. Supreme Court has dismissed a case that sought to limit the availability of a commonly used abortion pill. In a unanimous decision, the judges ruled that the group that brought the suit does not have the legal standing to do so. A group of doctors had been challenging the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's decision to make the pill easier to get. The pill is used in medical abortion cases in the U.S. and is widely available online and in the mail. The court decision means access to the pill remains unchanged. Back in this country, students from an Ottawa elementary school got a chance this week to crawl and walk over a huge 88 square meter map of Canada. It's a collaboration between Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic. As Sandra Abma tells us, it acts as a giant classroom and a teaching tool that lets kids learn more about national parks.
From coast to coast to coast, grade 6 kids help to unfurl a giant floor map of Canada, designed to take students on a walk through the country's national parks. 88 square meters of geography, waterways, parkland, and historical sites for students to discover underfoot.
We hope that this map is going to inspire kids to learn more about our natural and cultural places and get up close and personal to everything that is Canada.
I want you to go to another side of the map and find me one historic place.
Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic have produced 5 copies of the big map. Teachers across the country will be able to reserve one next September for delivery to their classrooms.
The kit will come with the map itself, a teacher's guide with about 7 different lesson plans that explore different aspects of Canadian geography. It also comes with ropes and pylons that students can use to interact with the map.
A trip to far reaches of the country that doesn't require a plane ticket.
Have you ever seen a map like this before?
No. I think it's really cool. I get to see Canada in a lot more detail. Sort of I did before. I didn't really realize that there was this much.
Here we can see the wild spaces where the provinces, territories, every border. And I think it's really nice.
From one ocean to the other?
Yeah. It feels like I'm teleporting.
Sandra Abma, CBC News, Ottawa.
free.
Welcome back. And Ashley, many people starting to think about the weekends and make plans as, you know, things get a little bit more summery out there. What's in store for this weekend?
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to summer. It actually arrives next week, I guess. It would, yeah, for sure. Let's take a look what's going on. It's looking a bit unsettled through the day on Saturday, unfortunately. So we've got that area of low pressure up across Labrador that will likely spark some thunderstorms. The morning, we're in southerly flow, so it's going to be warm, but there is the chance of some showers for, well, really along the south coast of the island in that onshore flow, along with the potential for some drizzle and some fog. But as we head into the afternoon, more showers and rain will move in. Now, I do think the day will start a little bit more sunny than what this model is showing. However, the showers will move in late day, and that will be the story pretty much across the board. Overall, daytime highs in the 20s for eastern and central Newfoundland. Along the south coast, again, in that onshore flow, your temperatures will be in the teens. Same thing for the west coast, northern peninsula as well. Overall, the weather will improve, so you should see some sunshine up across parts of Labrador, central and coastal areas anyway, anywhere from 20 to 21 degrees. Along the strait, a little cooler though, only about 16 degrees. Once that cold front moves through, much cooler temperatures on the backside of that, only 9 and 10 degrees for Lab West and northern Labrador. And you're also looking at the chance of some showers. Now, overnight and into that area of low pressure is pretty much going to stick around. So Father's Day at this point looking like it will be wet, and some of this rain can be fairly heavy at times. We're also going to see some windy conditions with this one as well. So it is looking a bit stormy. We may see some clearing skies in the afternoon as that area of low pressure moves through for the Avalon, but I do think most of the island will be wet through the day, and we're looking at some showers again up across portions of Labrador. That cold front will continue to sweep through. It's going to drop the temperatures right along with it. 13 to 17 degrees from the west coast through to central. St. John should hover around 19, northern peninsula cooler. And we'll start to rebound from some of that temperature drop in western portions of Labrador. Long range forecast showing temperature should stay between 18 to 20 degrees as we get into the beginning of next week. And eventually the weather will improve as well. For central and western Newfoundland, we're looking at a similar improvement as we head into Monday and Tuesday with 19 to 22 degrees. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at after Sunday, temperatures warming up yet again, 25, 26 degrees. Look at your overnight lows, 15 to 18 degrees. And then for western Labrador, those temperatures will be generally into the 20s through the day. Again, the potential for some showers both Monday and Tuesday. Obviously, some much needed rain, but we're looking at overnight lows around 14 degrees. Here's our picture of the day. Great shot of Rocky Harbor sunset. Neil shared this wonderful photo with us, and if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, you can send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That one sure is beautiful, isn't it?
Love it when the sky turns orange.
Yeah, that one looks like it could be in a calendar or something.
Yeah.
Great shot, Neil. And it looks like on Sunday, especially if you're on the island, dads probably won't have to go out and mow the lawn.
Or barbecue.
Or barbecue. So you'll be off the hook for some of those outdoor chores for sure, this weekend at least.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our show. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Take care. Good night.
Good night.